All right, good morning, guys. It is Mr. Rant, and I am coming at you live. Well, not really live because it's previously recorded, but coming at you from the hallway, seventh grade hallway in Madrano Middle School. And I am here today to teach you how to solve problems with simple interest and compound interest. So make sure you are following along and copying down everything that you see me doing so that when it is time for you to answer these questions on your own, you are able to do that successfully. All right, so first things first, I am going to read the question and then underline and circle keywords, or underline the question and circle keywords, so that we are able to solve the problem with no problems. All right, so let's jump right into it. Mr. Jenkins deposited $1,250 into an account. He made no additional deposits or withdrawals. Mr. Jenkins earned 4.25% annual simple interest on the money in the account. What was the balance in dollars and cents in Mr. Jenkins' account at the end of 4 years? All right, quite a bit of information here, but let's start with our keywords first. The first keyword that jumped out to me was annual simple interest, and this one is extremely important because this allows us to know which formula we're going to use in order to solve this problem. So like this one is extremely important for us to pay attention to, annual simple interest. The next important keyword I notice is deposited. And this is important because if I know he deposited something, I know that's what he started with. And it says that he deposited $1,250. And so if this is what he started with, this is his principal. The next keyword I notice is balance. And balance means how much money did you have at the end. A balance also stands for account balance, which is the A to our T pair. Let me fix that, which is the A to our T pair acronym. Other keywords, I see account here. So I know we're talking about money in an account. But I don't think there's too many more other important words, but I do see a few more numbers that we need to circle. So first number I see is 4.25% right here. And I know that 4.25% is my rate because it has a percent sign. And every time I see that percent sign, I know that is my R or my rate. The next number I see is 4 years. And 4 years I know stands for my time, or T. And the last thing I'm going to do is underline my question. What was the balance in dollars and cents in Mr. Jenkins' account at the end of 4 years? So I know I'm looking for the balance because that's what it tells me, but I also know the balance is A. So when I fill out my acronym, I know I'm looking for A. All right, so our next step is to go ahead and write our T pair out. So T, P, A, I, R. And it's extremely important to do this because it keeps your information together and make sure you're putting your numbers in the correct place when you write out your formula. So let's take this information that we marked up and put it into our T pair, and then we'll keep on going on solving the problem. So T stands for time, and our time was 4 years. P stands for principal, and our principal was 1,250. A stands for account balance, and right here, that's in my question, so I know that's what I'm looking for. So I'm going to place a star on A because that's the answer I'm trying to get to. I, we're not going to use I because it doesn't ask for the interest. So we're going to put an X on I because it's not really important for us right now. And then our last part is R, which is our rate, and we know our rate is the one with the percent sign, and we also label that. So that's 4.25%. So we have T pair filled out. We have all our information. Now it is time for us to choose the correct formula. And that first keyword that we circled, annual simple interest right here, lets us know our formula. So I'm going to go ahead and write out simple interest. So I know exactly which formula to choose so I don't get confused because simple and compound can look a lot alike, but I want to make sure I'm choosing simple, right? So when I look at my formula sheet, it tells us a simple interest is A equals P times 1 plus R times T. And so I just need to fill in the letters A, P, R, or T. And when I look at T pair, I know A is what I'm trying to get to. So I'm not going to fill in A, but I do have a P, I have an R, and I have a T, and I'm going to place those into the formula. So I'm going to rewrite this formula now with using the numbers. So I have A is what I'm looking for. So A equals P, which was 100 or 1,250 times 1 plus R, which was 4.25% times T. Oh, not times T, sorry. Times 4 because 4 represents T. So now I have my formula filled in. I have P filled out, R, and T, and I'm still looking for A, right? So I have 1,250 times 1 plus 4.25% times 4. So I'm going to put this in my calculator, and when I put this in my calculator, I won't put A equals. So I'll just have 1,250 times 1 plus 4.25% times 4. So I put that in my calculator, and I'm going to give you guys a few seconds to go ahead and fill that out and put that in your calculator. And when you do that, you should get the answer of 1,462.5. When you get your answer, you should circle it. That lets your teacher know that that is the answer that you are working with. So good job on that one and following along. Let's move on to our next question. All right, so question 2, we're going to follow the same process. We're going to read the question. We're going to circle and underline key terms or numbers and underline the question. We're going to fill out our T pair. We're going to write down our formula, and then we're going to solve the problem, right? All right, so reading the question, it says an employee puts $5,000 in a retirement account that offers 9% interest compounded annually. The employee makes no additional deposits or withdrawals. Which amount is closest to the interest the employee will have earned at the end of 5 years? Okay, that was a lot, but there was a lot of good information in there. So let's go ahead and circle some keywords that we notice in there. So the first keyword that I notice is that interest compounded annually. And I noticed this one because this is going to be my formula. So I know I'm working with compound interest. So my formula should be a compound interest formula. Next thing I notice is that he put the money into an account. So if he is putting the money in the account, that's what he is starting with. And we know that if you're starting with that, that is your principal. I see a percent sign, 9%, and we know that anytime we see that percent sign, that is our R. It says he makes no additional deposits or withdrawals, and then which amount is closest to the interest the employee will have earned at the end of 5 years. So I know 5 years is going to be my time, but let's go back to interest. I know interest when I write out T pair, interest is my I. When I'm looking for interest, I'm trying to figure out how much money did they either gain from this or how much extra money do they have to pay back if it was for a loan. But in this case, he's putting it in an account, so this means he's gaining money. So we want to know how much extra money is this employee going to gain after the 5 years. All right, so my next step is to write out my T pairs. So T pair. And I've labeled it already in my question, so it should be really easy to fill this out. So T is going to be 5 years. My P is 5,000. One too many zeros. 5,000. My A, I don't have A labeled on here, but I know that if I have to find I, because that's what I have labeled in my question, that must mean I have to find A too, and I have to find A first before I can even find I. So I'm going to put a star here, but then I know I'm definitely looking for I, so I'm going to put 2 stars there because that means I have to have that in order to answer the question. And then my last part is my rate, and we know my rate is with the percent sign, and that was 9%. Okay, so now that I have T pair filled out, I can go ahead and go back to my formula. And so in my question, I circle compounded annually. So that means that I'm looking for the compound formula. So I'm going to write out compound so that I make sure I pick the correct formula. And when I look at my reference sheet, compound is A equals P times 1 plus R times the little t. And by little t, we mean exponent t. And the way we put that in our calculator, you use the little caret, and then you type in the number for the time, right? So my next step is to go ahead and place my numbers in here. So I have a place for A, P, R, and the little t. I need to fill those in. So when I look at my t pair, I don't have A because I'm looking for A. So I'm going to continue with A equals. But P, I do have a P, and it was 5,000 times 1 plus R. My R was 9% times the little t, and my little t was 5. Okay, so to find A, just like on the last problem, we don't have to put A into the calculator. We're just going to start off with 5,000 times 1 plus 9% with the little 5. So when you put that in there, I'm going to give you guys a few seconds to go ahead and solve for that. When you put that in there, you should get 7,693.12. But that's not it, because this was just A. Remember, we're still looking for I, so that's why we put 2 stars on I, because we're still looking for the I. We do have A, and we can go ahead and fill that in at 7,693.12, but I'm still looking for I. And the way we get to I is there's a little formula that shows for I, and I equals A minus P. Well, we have A right here, and we already have P, so all we have to do is subtract that. So what I'm going to do is take this answer right here, 7,693.12, and I'm going to subtract the 5,000, or the initial amount of money that we started with. So I'm going to subtract this 5,000, and when I subtract that 5,000, it gives me 2,693.12. Now, I would suggest not trying to subtract this by hand, because sometimes we write it the wrong way. So make sure to use your calculator for this part of the subtraction for I. And so we know now that I equals 2,693.2. So our answer is J. All right, thank you guys for listening.